Before we get started, please take the time to like, add, and subscribe to our pages on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and iTunes. Also, please leave us a review. We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Yeah, I feel you.
So, do you have your shots appointment?
No, I need to.
Mine's on Wednesday.
Did you figure out which ones you needed?
So the way it went for me is I had to fill out some form, and then I
Okay.
sent it to the county health services here. Uh and I said I'm going to Uganda. They gave me a call. They're like, "Hey, we got your form. Come in Wednesday." And so I was like, "All right." So I think I'm gonna get there and they're gonna be like, "This is what you need."
Right.
So
What form did you send in?
it was one that the county here, Jackson County, has.
You're saying if I search Roosevelt County,
I don't
Montana.
that's my guess. Like if you search your county health services, and then maybe they have offering like s- so that way you can get your shots through them. Because what I originally tried doing was calling the hospital.
Right.
Then I said, "Hey, I'm traveling. I need to get shots." And they were like, "We don't do that here." And I was like, "Well, where who do I call?" And they were like, "Oh, here's the number. Call." And when I called, it was like one of those automated ones, and it was like, "This is the Jackson County Health, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, I." And then I went and looked online, um, and they were like, "Fill out this form, and then from the form, you can either bring it in, and drop it off, or you can email it." So I emailed it, and then they called me.
Interesting. I tried calling I gotta get, see, the problem is I gotta get registered in my tribe, get registered at the hospital there. And I can get, I think
Get your shots as soon as you can. That way it's just done.
I know, no, I agree with you. That's kind of the plan, and the weather's looking good right now. So there's a good window. I just got to get registered at the hospital. And then she said, then I got to make an appointment to do that. Then I'll do that. And then she said you might have to get the other ones at the county hospital, like you're saying, like get like certain other ones. But some of them cost money. So if the tribe pays for like some, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is I'm not expecting because they're gonna want my health insurance as well for it,
Right.
and I'm not expecting anything to be covered because it's voluntary.
Right.
And so when it comes to voluntary things, health insurance companies, whether it's like the most public one version or least public version, they're usually like, "Well, you don't need this, so you need to pay for it."
Right. That's why I'm taking the IHS route, man, because hopefully like it's paid, like if I go to the IHS hospital, it's paid for. Like you know what I mean? Like it's my tribe's hospital clinic.
Yeah, well, I get where your thought is with it, but I bet you for travel vaccines, that's pretty voluntary.
I get what you're saying, but I go to but that's the thing, this clinic might not have all the shots, so I might have to go somewhere like you're saying to get to where I'll have to pay it, but IHS hospitals pay for like I'm enrolled in the Little Shell Hospital. If I
Yeah,
go there
but
for
do
anything,
they offer the travel vaccine services paid for?
yes, everything, all the services.
All their services are paid for?
Yeah, because you're an enrolled member.
Oh, then I'm willing to bet they don't even offer it.
But that's what I'm saying is like they said she might have the yellow fever one and like malaria and like certain ones, but then there was like the other ones. She's like, yeah, I don't know. Do you know how many you're getting?
I don't.
Okay. Did you put in just like where you're traveling to?
Yeah, it was really basic kind of form. Let me see if I can find the email I
What was it
sent.
called?
Oh yeah, here it is. Found it. Um, so all I like had to put is they wanted, basic info. And then they're like, why are you going? What dates are you going to be going? Um, and then they asked like, uh, have you ever been outside of the US before? What's your mode of transportation? Are you using anything other than an airplane? Are you going to visit anything other than major cities? Are you going to be staying with anything other than hotels? You
Right.
visiting friends, families? You going to certain altitudes? Are you going to be working with Doctors Without Borders type stuff? And then they kind of ask some other basic like, do you take any medication? Do you take supplements? Do you take, because and you should be honest when you put that in, put all of it, even if it's a no-no substance, because that stuff will like it could fuck you up
Yeah,
if you
with
don't
your
put it. And they don't judge. They do not judge
no.
um, at these like services. I mean, they'll probably sit there and go, "You shouldn't do that," but they're not going to be like calling the cops right there on the spot.
No, but you're right because it's how that interacts with certain things. Like if you do get that shot and it has certain.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yep.
should for any medical, even if because I mean, it can make a big difference. We had an athlete; they had to have their stuff like surgery postponed because he didn't tell the doc that he did nicotine. He did like nicotine pouches,
Yeah.
those Zins you see everyone do. He did those and he was in for his like pre-op. And the doc was like, yeah, I mean, you're good. You don't do anything. Like, you don't smoke cigarettes. And the kid's like, well, I use Zins. And he pulled out the thing right there. And the guy's like, well, fuck. And he's like, you got to get off that. And we got to push it back.
Makes sense though.
Yeah,
Makes sense. It's smart. It's totally smart.
it
But
is. But I'd
that's
get on it.
yeah, no, I will. I that's like tomorrow, Friday. I gotta fax them this paperwork, and then from there I can get like things rolling.
Yeah. Because once I get the shots, need to get my suit. And then I have a whole list of things I need to get checked. Oh, finish paying the hotel. Um, I need to see if Yolo wants me to like Venmo him or do the other thing.
He said in February.
Yeah, I know. Well, February's next week, man.
And well, yeah, but it's YOLO, so I'm saying like mid-February, I think is what he said, or end of February. You got time. Um, act so yeah, it looks like look at your routine vaccines, your flu, your influenza, your chicken pox, polio, shingles, those ones. It said recommended COVID, cholera, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, malaria, measles, meningitis, polio,
Those are like
rabies.
all the ones you get here in the States.
That's what I mean. That's what so the typhoid maybe. Yeah, and then the yellow fever. So yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's a few. You know what I mean? I gotta ask
Yeah.
Alyssa. I gotta ask Thea's friend Alyssa
They
about her
they
shot.
uh they say when you get the malaria stuff, um, that you have the wildest dreams that night.
Really?
Yeah, apparently they're like wild, is from what I hear. But to be fair, I'd rather take a crazy ass dream than actually malaria.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it makes you question what being on malaria, like being sick with malaria is like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't directly know these people. Um, one guy, I follow him on like social media because he's wild. And I read his book. He had it almost died, and he was in like Madagascar, I think.
Oh,
Um, and then the other person that I know that's had malaria was my AIDS and STIs professor at Oregon State.
really?
Um, oh yeah, that was so wild how we found out too that she had malaria because it was literally the first day of class, and like she's trying to do a get to know you game. So
Right,
she's like, raise your hand if you're from Oregon, right? People raise their hand. Raise your hand, and then the questions get more detailed as you kind of go down.
right,
Um, she straight up, she asked a couple questions, two questions that were wild. She asked one, she's like, raise your hand if you've ever had malaria. And like
right.
nobody raised their hand, right? And she's just like, oh, my bad. I guess I consider malaria like the common cold. I was like, what? I was like, where have you been?
Wow.
And then the other wild question she asked, she's like, raise your hand if you have HIV or AIDS. And I was like, I was in class going like, yo, lady, this is day one. I know nobody here. I'm not sharing this info.
Even if you do, who's raising their hand? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild. That's wild. But we're not. We ain't here to talk about that.
No, we should start though.
We already drank the drink, but we're going clank to clank
Slang.
because we talking Glacier.
That's right. That's right. We're continuing on with our ABCs and national parks. We did Glacier Bay last time. This time it's Glacier National Park in good old Montana. Um,
Yeah.
I don't
Yep. Only,
know.
only
Maybe the
claim it
listeners do know already, but we have been to this park.
multiple
Uh,
times.
yeah, so if you want to hear breakdowns and more detailed stuff like that, then I would check out our other episodes. I know there's a lot of hot ones. We have some good Glacier content actually. And also check out the YouTube. Unless you're listening on YouTube, just hit the check out the profile, see the videos we have of Glacier National Park. Those are all fantabulous as well.
Yeah, no, YouTube's blown up. The shorts, people like the shorts. Definitely kind of a cool category. I think we should come out with some more long form videos. I know you put your Iceland one out. I still need to edit mine. I just have been too like my working right now is like physical labor work on my house versus like computer work. And I need to sit down and do a bunch of computer work because I still want to edit like a longer Iceland video. I have the song picked out,
Yeah.
but don't I think it's the Shotgun by George Ezra. I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun, feeling
Oh,
the
oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, pretty yeah, I think that's gonna be so stay tuned for that whenever I get around to that. But
Yeah,
um
I mean, I have the Super 8 film up on the YouTube. So, which is cool. I have another Super 8 version that I'm not sure if I'm going to release that one or not.
post it, post
It's all the
it.
same. It's like all the same. It's like all the same. So it's not like new,
Who
right?
cares?
It's just a little bit of a different and so I'm not
Let
100% sure on
let the search terms find us. Once like that's what like honestly, social media at this point in the game when you don't have like a fuck ton of followers, I don't think it really matters the appearance in that sense. As long as like people are liking your shit. And for our long form videos, why not throw out a long form video?
I mean, I get what you're saying in that standpoint, and but I would argue even if you're big, you shouldn't really care what like other people think. What I think it comes down to more so is, are you happy with the product?
Right. And I that low key kind of something we should address off with the recording is how maybe the YouTube and Instagram look going forward. um, to get better products, I think.
Yeah. If you're happy with it, then that's all that truly, truly matters. The rest falls into play.
Right. I feel you.
So, whatever people say. I mean, you see so many I've seen so many if you like deep dive, get stuck in an Instagram hole, you
Right.
can find people like genuinely nice people sharing their lives.
Oh, I
And then
know.
you can get in the comments and you'll get people like just straight up shitting on them. Like, and it makes no sense. Like, it's
Right.
the person could just be like, here I am going to the gym today. I get on the bike for 30 minutes and then I leave and go to work. Like that kind of shit. And you'll see in there like hate from New Zealand. You're just like, what the fuck? Like,
That's wild. That's fucking wild. But yeah, that's like, I don't know. I feel like looking at social media, there's a different approach I want to take to it. And I really liked the original Wandering Ways, Quartz Lake kind of shit we were putting out, where it
yeah.
was more like the long form stuff, but we fell into a culture of like short videos because of Instagram Reels and TikTok and all that. And when you look at like some of these Glacier videos that we've done early on, like that was fun, those longer form videos.
Yeah. I mean, the early on videos, I wouldn't say the ones like the earliest, the first ones.
Right,
But I'd say probably about a year after like those first ones came out, like there's actually some really good videos in there.
right. No, we should I like that. And that's kind of where this Iceland video where like I wanted to take it was kind of down a similar path like that. So I want to give it the that's always part of it. I don't want to rush it. I want to give it the time it deserves. So I got to get that done at some point. Should take my computer to Africa, but I don't want to. I want to kind of go bare minimum there. I want to
Yeah,
focus.
I mean you're going for much longer than I am, but
Right.
I'm going pretty bare minimum. I mean, I'm trying to debate if I want to take the Super 8 or not.
Bro, that would kind of be really cool.
I know I'm kind of torn. Here's why I'm torn. Um, I think I think the footage that I would get could be like really, really legit.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm also curious of like how the trip's gonna go and like how a Super 8 taking Super 8 film fits in within that.
Right. Um, I think with Africa, you take it from a like you videotape like you getting on the plane. You videotape
I
like
don't think you do that with a Super 8.
you don't think so? I think it's more about like the journey, like the experience.
Yeah, and I know, and that's what I get. I don't necessarily think like an airplane shot, like getting on the airplane
Right.
is really what you do. It's more of like you chilling on the airplane,
Yeah, I mean that would work. Yeah.
right? You more so take videos of people doing the journey rather than
Yeah, like
like
almost
you
like
doing the journey.
not focused on the camera.
Yeah.
Like yeah, just like yeah, like here's the aisles of the plane.
Hmm.
People are being people.
Yeah, because the best shots from that are like if you think of the Hawaii one, it's the kind of like it's the dancing near the lake near Mauna Kea. It's making the PB&Js. It's the uh you know you videoing that pheasant. And
Right.
then like Iceland, it's very much similar stuff. The best is just the goofing off, except for maybe the very last part of like the video that's on YouTube. That's just such a cinematic
Right.
kind of framing. it worked really well for an ending. But that's such, but even then, you can argue it's someone doing something.
Right. I feel you. I gotta rewatch your video. I watched it when you first did it. I gotta rewatch it to
That
like
that very last shot is like I think the best way. It's framed beautifully and it kind of just fits for the end of any kind of like video you do.
well, I'll watch it like after or maybe during the break I'll watch it. But
But
we're
yeah,
also yeah, we're also here to talk Glacier a little bit. But that's true. I think go check out our Glacier videos. I think that's kind of a big push to um to that crowd.
yeah,
You
so go
know,
check it out. But no, we're here to talk about a national park that became a national park in May 11th, 1910.
it was the
So
eighth national park.
it's an old one, over 100 years,
Yeah.
113.
With over 700 miles of trails so open and rugged that they stretch your soul. It's a hiker's paradise. No wonder they call it the crown of the continent. Yeah, hiked it, liked it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I used to have that pin, but I lost it, I think hiking Mount St. Helens.
I think yeah, when you slid down, you said you lost some. How
Yeah,
do
I
you
lost quite a
like
few.
what I like is I feel like we've hiked a good chunk of the park. Now, obviously not a lot, but we've hiked kind
No,
of
but
the
that's tough to do.
right, the middle of the area. I would argue we've hiked in the sense that like going to Sun where we went up to the chalet. We've hiked the Logan's Pass Trail and we've hiked the like Quartz Lake, Cracker Lake on the eastern side. We've hiked Two Medicine on the eastern side. We've hiked Avalanche Lake in the like the central side. I've horsebacked around like Fish Creek, like the horseback ride right there at St. Mary's. We've hiked the Quartz Lake on the west side, and like what side, like, and then even with Bobby and Matt, the south, like the south, we weren't in the park technically where we were at. We are kind of in the national forest area, but what do you think of that? Like what like each place is different. Which one do you like? I guess what I'm trying to ask.
Oh, that's a tough one. Like which one I like. Um, which one did I like? That's a good question. I think honestly, we only dabbled in the area that I actually liked the best. Um, in that, and this would be the one thing I think I would change from
Mhm.
this trip. And it's actually the chalet trip. Uh, I think the one thing I would change from that trip is staying another night
Mhm.
and then making that the base camp to then go and explore because you're already so high up. So you've done a lot of the elevation climb already.
Right,
So any more elevation that you do is not as much.
right.
Um, but then you get into the mountains and that real mountainy, especially once you like, how we had the one plan to go down the other side. I think if you head that way and try and get a little bit more elevation over there, I think the views over there would be absolutely wild.
I agree with you, especially if you did it in like we did it early July, just based on these seasons and kind of the way they've gone. If you kind of plan late July, that would be and in reality, it's January. Now would be the time. February, now would be the time if you're looking to book your chalet reservations.
Yeah.
I would there is Sperry Chalet. They rebuilt that one. And that one's a little more fancier, supposedly. But I would do it again. And I would want it, like you're saying, I would want to do the Highline Trail.
Yes.
And then I would want to do the go stay an extra day, go up, kind of like what you and Tyler did, go up there and then down, kind of like what we talked about, park some cars, maybe use the shuttle, that kind of.
Yeah.
Actually, you could probably park a car at, if you did it right, park a car at St. Mary's and then took a shuttle up to Logan's Pass and then Highline Trail, hike down back to, or not St. Mary's, uh, fuck the
Yeah,
one,
yeah, you very well could, you know, because there's that one picture you
Landing Glacier.
see quite a bit of like looking down. I
Yes.
always think it's Cracker Lake. I don't think it is actually Cracker Lake. Um,
I think it's Iceberg Lake. It's that area. It's around, it's kind
yeah,
of around that. Yeah.
but
I
you know, if you can get, I think if you can get up there, I think your mind will be blown.
right. Well, and that's part, I mean, that is part of the park too, is it is the hiking. Because even like to go see Hidden Lake, man, to get up with the mountain goats and to get up there, like you really have to like put a trek on.
That's interesting you say mountain goats because if you look, first off, you can take the Amtrak to Glacier National Park, which I think would be a cool experience.
Hey,
But
you can stay on that
Amtrak
Amtrak.
has Amtrak has fun facts about the park, and their first fun fact they have on there is that
Yeah,
mountain goats are the symbol of Glacier National Park.
I'd say so. You see them a lot. You see them in like with the red jammers, the vans. That's another thing that like Mark, I know when you retire, you're going to be a red jammer driver. That's what I always say. Driving up Many Glacier, giving your tours.
Who knows? Well, first off, you got to retire, but
You look off to the left over here.
yeah, yeah,
Doing
some
all
shit
your
like
different
that.
voices, doing all your different voices. Hey
Yeah,
laddie.
yeah, yeah. Just look over, check out some cool shit over there.
Yeah, yeah. Look at one of my favorite things, an
Yeah,
aspen tree. And you can tell that because of the way it is.
no, exactly, exactly. The red
People,
jammers are kind of cool. It's a, you know, it's a thing of Glacier, the red jammers. So,
well,
but
what's neat is you have them like they're the vans that tour you around the park and you got to like sign up for them because they kind of run their on their own. But Yellowstone had the yellow ones like that too.
do they still? Because I actually don't remember seeing them the last time I was in Yellowstone.
You don't see them really in the park. They have them in like their storage, and then there's one in Red Lodge. Some guy has it there. He restored it, but they had the
Okay.
yellow one. They've brought them out on like special occasions.
Hey, that's what we got to do. We got to buy one of the old yellow buses and then trek it out. Take it all out, turn it into the Wandering Ways command station, mobile command
That
station.
would be kind of cool, actually. Low key, I know where one's sitting in a field.
Oh, so now we just got to hot wire, take some gas, hot wire,
Yeah,
or just somehow figure out how to put it in neutral.
like the government didn't put serial numbers on those things.
We'll scratch it off, paint it, we'll be fine. As I say that on like a public thing that anyone can
Right.
listen to.
Right. And it's one of those locations in Montana where it's like down that dirt road,
Yeah,
it'll sitting in that field. Yeah, getting a fucking bus out of a field, not as easy as it looks.
I think we can do it.
Maybe. But yeah, I would buy one. Low key, I would buy one. I think
Yeah.
that like tuning it up.
Uh, but going back, fun fact here about good old Glacier National Park. Um, there was a man who lived among the Native Americans and christened the St. Mary's Lakes. This website, I love stories about the interesting people who became a part of the history of America's national parks. In the case of Glacier, one of these peoples was a man by the name of Hugh Monroe. Hugh Monroe came out of Edmonton House. His assignment was to learn the Blackfeet language and assure future trades at the Edmonton House. Hugh Monroe had no idea that this job would change his life. He was only 17 years old when he was adopted by the Blackfeet people. Later, Monroe married a Blackfeet woman,
The name.
Sinapaw, and
Look at the
together they
name.
raised a family.
Do you
What
know
were you
who that?
saying?
Look at the names. I've told you those names before.
I've
Human
heard Cinepaw.
Human Rose name is Rising Wolf.
Human Row.
Yes, that was his native name, Rising Wolf.
Oh, you never told
So
me the
so
other name.
so right there in Two Medicine, the two lakes, Sinnepaw, Rising Wolf, Lone Walker, Sinnepaw's father.
See,
That's where
what did I tell? I told everyone this was a fun fact, and this fact just keeps getting funner.
that's my family.
There you go. See, we're finding fun facts about Zach's family
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. That's where we come from, those guys.
Yeah, here's my favorite part of it, of the reading this fun fact though. It was through Monroe's good reputation and history with the tribe, which the way which the way was paid for other whites to come into the area.
It's kind of fucked.
Yeah, I
Like,
tricked him.
but like, yeah, like that's like my grandfather's mother's family is Sinnepaw,
People
Rising Wolf.
think he's the first Caucasian to see the St. Mary's Lakes.
Maybe. Yeah.
It sounds like it's one of those things they're like, we think we're not totally sure. We think there's a real solid chance, but we can't confirm nor deny it.
Well, you don't know because that's like you don't know if anyone from like Spanish came up from the South
Right.
as it's like French or whoever was exploring, but oh, that was French, sorry. But they were coming down from Canada. They were Hudson Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part. Yeah, it's kind of wild because like that's like my grandpa's mom's family. That's like his fifth, my dad's sixth, my seventh, I think. Maybe sixth, fifth, fourth. Maybe it's my sixth. Like it's like my grandpa. Yeah, it's like my grandpa's great grandpa. Or and yeah, it's kind of cool actually. Um, like like my grandpa's dad was born in a canyon somewhere out in the field in by Glacier back in the day because they were had to live that life, man.
Yeah, right.
Wild. That
But
was early 1800s. Or not
yeah,
late 1800s.
thought
But
that'd be a fun fact.
Glacier, another kind of cool thing with that, like when you talk about like the park and kind of its foundings, right? So you have like the Blackfeet on the east side, which I like. I mean, that's the homelands. Taking you up to Chief Mountain. Chief Mountain's really cool. His like spiritual, I guess would be the word to use. I was gonna say historical, but spiritual is kind of a better. Religious would be another word you could
Yeah,
use.
I agree. Spiritual is more a better word for you.
Right. And that's kind of where the area is. It's like a church, but it's not. It is like, it's like the Holy Land. That's where, that's life. I don't know. It's more of a feeling when you're there. Um, but like those places, like to the Blackfeet are really cool. That whole east side, I really like the way it meets the plains. It's just a different kind of cool, really like where the mountains meet the prairie, meet the plains. You get that on that side. Um,
You do.
but
That's the one
even
thing I noticed when Tyler and I did that little extra bit from the chalet is because you can get over, we got far enough over where you could start looking out and you can just see it turn to flat once you
yeah,
get out there.
and that's where I
You felt like Mufasa and Simba, where they're sitting on the rock and everything the sun touches is ours. Um, had that view, not like the whole, but like because that view from the rock and that Lion King, it's very wide open. It's the high peak to the wide plains. That's what it felt like.
well, that's what like when I went because it's a peace park, right? So I went to Waterton, which is the glacier up in Canada. It's a international peace park, which is also cool. That aspect of it, we were driving from Lethbridge, Canada, and we're driving that way. So you drive through like some small farm towns on your way out there, some Canadian ones. And as you get like the mountains just build on the prairie, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh,
And
I
we hit
bet.
it right at sunset. It was just, oh, it was perfect. I loved it. It was wonderful. Um, but I also going to say the Amtrak, they helped build the park, when you talk about the train. Hey there, Reverend. I heard that you might be running dry on your sticker supplier.
Yeah, I've been looking around and I've kind of like run out of cool stickers to buy and put on water bottles and stuff.
Well, I mean, have you seen the stuff Josh has been coming out with lately?
No, I have not.
Well, he is doing some really cool stuff with the Shop LS 574. Yes, they're working with indigenous communities and making some really cool stickers. He has a really cool Buffalo Mountain sticker. There's even water bottles, hats, sweatshirts, the whole swag. And we even got a discount code for you guys. Yes, if you use Wandering Ways at Shop LS 574, you're going to be getting a discount on your next purchase. But not only that, you're going to be giving a percentage of that sale to the Little Shell Tribe, as well as they donate $1 of every sale to murdered and missing Indigenous women. So just such a cool thing going on there. You know, you use the code Wandering Ways, WANDERINGWAYS, and you put that in there, boom, you're getting a discount.
But railroads, Amtrak, the choo-choo trains actually has a lot. The train and the railroad industry, like in Glacier National Park, are kind of like
Hey,
together if you
yeah.
really think about it. But James J. Hill, president of the Great Northern Railroad, and his son Luis were among the earliest supporters of the national park. The Hills were enthusiastic advocates to preserve the Glacier's lands. They funded and led public relations campaigns to convince Congress to designate the area as a national park. Thus, William Howard Taft signed into bill and law on May 11th, 1910, like we said, to make it a national park. James Hill understood that the Great Northern could not grow and prosper unless there were interesting places for passengers to travel. Lewis Hill, who was a passionate advocate for America's public lands, led a campaign to encourage Americans to see Americans first. People traditionally traveled to Europe for summer vacations, but the Hills believed that they could give Americans an opportunity to have comparable vacation experience while remaining in the United States. And I agree with the Hills.
Yeah.
Uh, Thus, travelers can take Amtrak's Empire Builder from the Midwest to the east and ride through Maria's Pass at the highest point on the railroad's route and stop at the Beltran Depot to visit the park. That right there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, railroad that doesn't just stop with the Amtrak. I mean, that's kind of why the chalets are there, is the railroads.
They were like the land surveyors basically for the railroad. They're where to
Yeah.
build. Like there is a tunnel, I want to say, the Ptarmigan Tunnel in the park that was like an old railroad thing that's not really used anymore. Um it's Marias Pass. And
Mariah.
Marias, yeah. It's a guy's last
I like
name.
Maria.
Yeah, we should find the native name for it, I'm sure. Because like that's what they actually call the backbone of the continent, right there, the continental divide, right
Yeah.
there. And that to me is it's cool. It really is cool. It's really kind of cool that like the railroad, those people were thinking that way. They're also, yeah, building their empire too at the same time. Because like, yeah, you look at those older railroad ads of the park, they show like, yeah, come visit the tourism, come see the goats, come do this, come do that, and I really think it'd be cool to see like when you look back in time to see these places, just the more like the less development even.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought, like I always get that thought when I am in these places is like I'll get to a vista point and I'll be just like, yeah, but like imagine what it was like when,
Yeah, like when
because that's very way different then.
because think about it, like you look down and you see fences or highways or roads or farm fields, when it was like, no, that just used to be wild grass or sagebrush,
Yeah.
or it's kind of wild. It's nice
Yeah.
sometimes out here in eastern Montana. You get a little bit of it sometimes, or like when you go to like the Grand Canyon, and that's all you see is just kind of that vastness. You get that places in Glacier. You do get it in places here for sure. Don't get me wrong, but like it's different. Like especially like bordering the park.
Yeah. Yeah, there's fewer places in the world that it's you have that opportunity to really experience that nowadays. So it does make it unique, and it would be cool to see it. But can't travel back in time. But you can still take the train. You
Yeah,
can still take the train. Amtrak offers a lot of like vacation packages. They actually have like a big like national park one. You can hit a whole gaggle of them.
it comes
So
through Wolf Point. Same one, same train comes through Wolf Point.
yeah, I think that there's one that hits like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
I think Yosemite's on that list. And Glacier. I mean, it's I've looked into it once. Um
Well, they're opening up here in Montana. It sounded like they're pushing for it. I don't know how far it's gotten, but they want to do Billings to Missoula because the Great Northern kind of comes down there to Missoula and then over to like Spokane and stuff.
or a
Uh,
train.
yeah, so that way, like, but it's more touristy along like southern Montana there to get you to Yellowstone right there in Livingston.
Yeah. I mean, you know, one of the arguments people always think about the United States is like it's really hard to travel around the United States. Um, Unlike Europe, which has the train system. Uh,
Have you
but
seen like where they put like the different European train systems over like United States cities, or even like the European, like the whole grid of Europe over like the Eastern US? Like it's like if you would do this, like think about it, like we have the infrastructure, we have the like space between our highways or near our highways to essentially build these like speed trains, or these trains that we could do that. Like start with the big cities, start with cities over a certain like million people.
yeah, you really, I mean, I think you very well could, and I think there'd be a really good market for it. I think actually you'd really see a big benefit, like more so out west.
Yeah,
If you could get a speed train, um, you know, I'm thinking like specifically like LA, San Francisco,
yeah,
Portland, Seattle. If you had a speed train for that,
right next to I-5.
yeah,
Like build it right there. Like there are railroad tracks too that even are around the like near I-5 too that follow like it. But it's like, yeah, build it, and you also reduce traffic on I-5 by doing that.
yeah. I mean, they've talked about doing one from like LA to San Francisco. Um, and I believe technically it's like partially built or it is built.
LA to
But
Vegas, do it.
LA to Vegas would be a good one.
Phoenix.
For sure. That'd be a good one for sure.
Yeah,
Especially a speed one. If you can get it fast enough to where it only takes a couple hours. Yeah,
right.
you'd have so many people from LA just like, let's go get parked up in Vegas tonight and take the late train home.
Right. Like I get like some of the like the East Coast cities already kind of do have trains that people do take,
Yeah,
but even like figuring it out, like that's an infrastructure worth, I think, looking into.
I agree. I agree. I don't know if it actually will happen. I do think they should look into it. And trains are cool. And speaking of cool, we're gonna move on to cool shit nature. I actually technically have three this time, but two of them are kind of really related. Technically, they're two different.
Okay.
But I know you've seen one of the three because I sent it to you because I thought it was wild. So I sent you it.
Okay.
Um, First off, I gotta find it real quick. Okay, first one's just a picture, though.
I'm
Um, Looking at it here, but boom, for the people that are just listening, What we're looking at is a
Oh
picture,
wow.
and there is a crocodile
I
in
see it.
this picture. Yeah, you can see his eye, which is
Yeah.
wild.
Wow. But like
Um,
bird, like you're thinking that's the bird, but it's like no, look at the croc's eye in the mud.
yeah. New Planet Earth, Planet Earth 3. They actually show the crocodiles that do this, and it's really wild, like how well they're hidden and how close that like all the animals get to it. And he
Do
just chills until he waits for his perfect moment.
do you know when this comes out? When it comes out again?
Planet Earth 3,
Yeah.
uh it's it's like out. You can watch it.
Is it
Um,
what?
yeah, I have a DVD on my Sling.
What?
Yeah, you can pre-order it. I believe you can pre-order it and have it mailed to you and it will start shipping mid-February.
What? This is news to me.
I know, mind-boggling for you. Um, it's really good. I haven't finished it. I need to watch one more. I'm gonna pull up the next one here. It's
Not even
having
a
issue,
not even
but
a
it's a doozy of. I highly encourage you to watch Planet Earth 3. But next one, repeat favorite of one of our favorite channels. Um, Nature's Metal. We got a classic bear on bear battle.
That's kind of cool to see. I like how they stick their necks out like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They have the close up and then like the far.
That's why it's all about like right there is why it's all about looking big on a bear and doing
Yeah.
what that right there because it backs them down. They're sizing each other up.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't want to get to that point, but they will.
Well, 100%. Survival of the fittest. It's going to do what it needs to do.
They're heavy hitters.
Yeah,
They're the heavyweights. So when they're battling each other, it's the big blows, right? And that's why when they
100%.
do attack a human, you're dead because it's one blow with razor sharp claws to the head.
Are you dead? Because I would argue that the next cool shit in nature would say otherwise. So
Really?
this is a man that talks about getting attacked by a grizzly bear.
Look at how
Now,
fucked up his face
dead,
is.
dead is the key I want to say here because he's not dead, but he got his shit fucked.
Oh,
So for the people that are just listening and watching, there's no words here. But he's detailing, and when I watched it, I mean, he had his face ripped, he had an eyeball popping out. He had, let's see, left eye was hanging out of the socket. I don't think the right eye had chunks of flesh hanging down from it. Jaw was hanging down. Crawled down the hill, managed to find the trail. Wild though. I mean, it's crazy that this guy survived. And I want to
well,
say for how mauled he is or was, he's looking pretty good.
right. No, exactly. When you get your like whole face torn up,
Yeah, when you have an eyeball hanging out, you
how do you
know,
walk and see
they
that? Oh, exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of wild to hear that or see that this guy like full on mauled. Um, and by looking at the other cool shit in nature, you can see why or how easy it would be.
No, yeah. Fuck, they just whop you, man. That's what they do.
Yeah, I mean,
Just whop.
you're kind of toast. Kind of toast when you get to if you are. I mean, you may not die, but you're gonna get fucked type
But
deal.
like, and that's one thing with Glacier is bear safety. I think, it's not all Smokey the Bear. It's
No,
it's dangerous. I mean, we were close to a bear, even an excited bear can be a dangerous bear. Um,
100%. But Glacier does a pretty good job at bear safety.
they really do. And bear spray, definitely worth it. Recommend it. Take it on the hikes. I I had an amazing night looking for bears that night we came in from Waterton up there. There was a ton of bears. Like we probably saw 19 bears driving to our campsite up in
Oh damn.
Water. Yeah, no, it was wild.
That is a
and
lot of bears.
like at the right time of night too. And it would kind of then you get to your campsite and you're like, really? We're staying the night here? He's not.
Yes. Yeah, I know how that feels because
Yeah.
when I was at Banff with Vince and Phil, we pulled into the last campsite and they're like, "Yeah, it's been some bears running through the campsites," and I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna be a burrito for this bear in my hammock."
And you're like, fuck it. Fuck it.
Yes,
This is how it happens. This is how it happens.
100%. Um, this is a more this next it's not really I get well actually no it's a fun fact I think and
Yeah.
this one more so pertains actually to me than more so like you
Okay.
but you know going to the Sun Road the road there to the through the park it is I got gifted a book for the National Geographic 100 bike rides of a lifetime all over the world and going to the Sun Road it makes the list.
I'm
And I mean
sure.
I've said I wanted to ride it. If you could drive it, you get the same view, but you know, if you are an avid biker, this is the ticket.
Well, we've talked about how this road, because of the reservation system with the cars, might even over our lifetime turn into like a shuttle only type of road with bikes, kind of like that
Yeah,
Zion road.
I could
Um,
see it too.
and we've had the privilege to drive it, which is kind of cool. Um,
We've also had the privilege of being up there a long ways with no cars and no people.
that was cool.
Um, Yeah, it's actually well, there's one of my favorite pictures that I have. I actually have a little mini of it because I have like a travel journal. I put little mini pictures. So I don't know if you guys can all
Oh yeah,
see
that one.
like yeah, but it's me like on a bench, literally right off the road. But it's one that you can only get when there's like no people.
It was cool.
Yeah,
It was no, it was because that spot's banging in the park. Like people, 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 people.
yeah. It's
That
right
was
there at that bend.
that chalet, even though for everything that went wrong on that trip, those sorts of moments, like those kind of things really make the trip make or break a trip.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
gets
the chalet was blast. Actually, I got another little, one of those little pictures of a view of my coffee in the morning from the chalet.
oh
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, but yeah,
That was
the
wonderful.
chalet was wild. I mean, we've talked about it on depth, so you should actually go and like look that up, episode up, of our last trip to Glacier, which was 2 years ago, because last year we did Iceland. Um, but yeah, going to the Sun Road one of the more popular. It's a scenic drive too. Everyone always talks about it being a very scenic drive. It's a scenic, so it makes sense for it to be a scenic bike ride, as
Well,
well.
really
Um,
going. That's really the only road that goes through the park side to side.
well, yeah, it is. I mean, that's kind of why they did it. Just to
And they
have
did it
that
a long
road.
time ago. They had a remember at the chalet, they had both tribes present. They had like the railroad was present. It was like a feat to build it.
It was. So actually, I think I found more of it. The first so Stephen Mather, who became the first direction of of the National Park Service, wanted to have a road built in Glacier National Park. It would be not just any road, however, it would be an engineering marvel. Between 1921 and 1933, when the entire length of the Going to the Sun Road was open to the public, it cost $2.5 million.
Back then, huh?
490,000 pounds of explosives and 3 lives to build it. Built by men armed with shovels, hammers, hemp climbing ropes, explosives, according to the April 1937 issue of the Pacific Builder and Engineer, um, which is kind of wild to think about, you know?
Yeah. Kind of here in my secrets of the national parks too, going off that local intelligence. They say it takes planning. because you could be down in the valleys and it could be 60, 70 degrees down there in the valleys, but it could be 30, 40 degrees and glaciers, snow up in the mountains, and you will going up to go into Sun Road. When you get up to Hidden Lake, if you want to go see Hidden Lake and
Yeah,
see, you're going to be walking like we did it. I mean, we had flip-flops on when we did it, but
in the snow when we did it
yeah,
in the snow.
it was wild, but definitely recommend. Like, yeah, if you be prepared. If you don't know what you're doing, you know,
Yeah, I mean, if you can make it to Logan's Pass and like they've had time to plow that area, you'll
yeah,
be fine even going to Hidden Lake because
right,
there's a lot of that like is boardwalk. There's a lot of it where like it can be well maintained. So
right.
I mean, you should still know what you're doing. You should still think smart, but like in terms of it, this one I think anyone can do. But I mean, you can, like you said, it can be nice at the bottom and snow at the top, and they'll have the road closed. We know that personally.
Well, all sorts of shit too, like that.
Yeah,
Thing
and I
is,
mean, they put the railings in every year, which makes sense. Like now that I really think about it, but like when we found that out, I was like, what?
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I like Glacier. Another cool thing I think about Glacier, talking railroad, talking kind of things they built, is the lodges.
Yeah.
The lodges are
Yeah,
kind of
it was one of the big ones, like first parks for the term that this site uses is parkature, park park
like
architecture. It's supposed to be a
art
play on
architecture.
architecture and park. Um, but I mean the lodges are really cool in Glacier.
No, you get like the McDonald Lodge is kind of unique right there on the lake. Many
Hmm.
Glacier kind of where it's located. You have the East Glacier Lodge, which I think is one of my favorites because they had the redwood trees brought in there.
Yeah.
Um,
The I think it's the mini glacier that's got like the oriental kind of like Asian vibe. Um,
yeah,
or is
I
that
think
Two Medicine?
no, I think you're right because I don't think there is one at Two Medicine.
It's the one where the
Yeah,
trailhead is for Cracker.
yeah. So it's many glacier there. It's kind of that, but I think it's also kind of that like Bavarian, like
Well, the
German.
outside is. The
Right.
outside has that feel. But
You're
when you
right. It
go
was
in,
different when we went inside.
yeah, because it has like the lanterns,
Yeah.
and it has that kind of vibe on the inside.
It
But
felt different, man. Like, no,
yeah,
I haven't been there in a while. We didn't go in there when we did the iceberg lake hike because I got sick.
yeah, we didn't. Yeah, and I don't think we went into when we did Cracker Lake either. I think when we went in, it was like with Vince and Phil.
Yep. That's exactly when it was. It would be worth it to just go sit down and go see those even. Definitely like that's one thing I'm looking at like uh Grand Canyon, some of these places like the lodges would be worth it to stay.
Yeah, the lodges are super cool. I don't know if I'm ready for the lodge life yet, but you know,
I get what you're saying.
give me 20 years and I probably am. But I
Right.
mean, I do agree. I do agree with you.
Yeah,
But
like that. We're not there yet, but like one day it'll be like, yeah, let's go sit down and have a meal at the East Glacier Lodge.
exactly. And we'll still be doing the podcast. So don't worry, everybody.
Talker.
But no, yeah, we are reaching the end of it. So it's time for our final words. But yeah, so this is another ABC's Glacier. It's one of our faves. Check it out. Go visit. Make sure you get your reservation if you're gonna going to the Sun Road because you need it now. But anyways, final words, my guy.
Fair to hike for Glacier. Definitely plan on getting out. It's one of those parks to really fully experience it, to get it, to do it. I like Glacier a lot. Definitely one of my favorites. Check out our other episodes because those we really do get into it. We get into some of our actual trips. Definitely, we've recorded this podcast for so long. We've had like multiple trips where we've talked about on this podcast before, during, and after. So you can hear the preparation, you can hear the talk, you can hear kind of us in Glacier. Definitely one of our, I think, my more favorite topics, because one of our favorite parks. So definitely check it out.
100%. Reverend's final words of wisdom. Stay beautiful, everybody. Can't tell you how much I appreciate every single one of you for sticking it out, listening, all those, checking out all the other stuff. You know, winter. It's been a warm winter out here. El Nino, it's doing its thing. So, you know, possibly easier to get outside for you. I know it's supposed to be like 60 and sunny here this weekend. So, truly blessed for that opportunity. So gonna get outside and don't have to worry about getting too wet. But yeah, get outside, explore things. A lot of fun stuff for us coming up here real soon. So make sure you're listening because it's just gonna keep getting better and better and better. But with that being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.